A friend mysteriously disappears near a cursed river. Strange shadows loom beneath the water's surface. An unspeakable horror awaits in the darkness. Tonight, we're diving into The Striding Place, a chilling tale of the unknown. But is it just a ghost story, or could something far darker be at play? Let's uncover the truth together. Weigel walked alone through the dense, foreboding woods, his thoughts consumed by the strange disappearance of his closest friend, Gifford. The last time anyone had seen him was near the Strid, a treacherous river known for its deceptive currents and chilling reputation. Locals whispered about the many who had vanished there, never to be seen again, their bodies claimed by the water's abyss. It wasn't just a river. It was something more, something alive. The deeper Weigel ventured into the forest, the more the atmosphere seemed to change. The air grew thick and oppressive, the trees unnaturally still as though they were holding their breath. The usual sounds of the woods, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of birds, had disappeared. Silence wrapped around him like a suffocating veil. He knew that something wasn't right. As he neared the Strid, the last light of dusk painted eerie shadows along the water's edge. Then he saw it, a dark shape lying in the grass near the riverbank. His heart pounded as he rushed forward. Gifford's body lay motionless, his clothes drenched, his skin unnaturally pale. He dropped to his knees beside him, fingers trembling as he reached for any sign of life. Cold, still, lifeless. His friend had been taken by the Strid, just like so many before him. And then a shudder, a gasp. Weigel froze as Gifford's body convulsed. His eyes snapped open, dark and unfocused, staring up at the sky. A deep sense of dread settled in Weigel's chest. Something was wrong. This wasn't relief. It was terror. Gifford moved, but not like himself. His motions were slow, deliberate, unnatural. His mouth parted as if to speak, but no sound came out. Weigel recoiled, heart hammering in his chest. Something about his friend was different, but it couldn't be. He had been in the water. No one survived the Strid. No one ever came back. The Strid was no ordinary river. It was a place of whispers, of unseen things lurking just below the surface. The water ran deep, deeper than anyone could truly understand, and those who fell into its grasp never truly returned. Weigel wanted to believe that he had saved his friend, that Gifford had somehow survived the impossible, but deep down, a chilling realization clawed at the edges of his mind. What if what had come back wasn't Gifford at all? The house stood in silence, its darkened windows staring out like lifeless eyes. Time had not been kind to it. The old wooden walls had soaked in the terror of what had happened there, and those who dared to step inside claimed the past still lived within them. Some said the spirits of the dead still walked its hallways. Others believed that something much darker had made the house its home. The story begins on a warm summer night in June 1912 in the small town of Villisca, Iowa. The Moore family, well-respected members of the community, had returned home late from a church event. They were a picture of happiness, Josiah and Sarah Moore, along with their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. That night, they had 2 guests, Lena and Ina Stillinger, young sisters who had spent the night after attending the service with the Moore children. By dawn, the entire house was silent in the worst possible way. A neighbor, noticing that no one had emerged for the day's work, grew concerned. When a relative was called to check on them, he stepped into the darkened house and ran out moments later, screaming. Inside, the entire Moore family, along with the Stillinger girls, had been brutally murdered in their beds with an axe. The crime scene was one of the most disturbing in American history. The killer had covered the mirrors and windows with sheets, as if trying to hide his crime from something unseen. An oil lamp had been left burning, its chimney removed and set carefully to the side. The murderer had struck each victim repeatedly with such force that some faces were completely unrecognizable. The children had been killed with almost methodical precision, one by one, room by room. Whoever had done this had taken their time, but the horror didn't end in 1912. Over the years, the Villisca Axe murder house became infamous for its hauntings. Paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and skeptics alike visited, only to leave with chilling experiences. Some reported hearing children's laughter when no one else was there. Others heard the sound of footsteps pacing from room to room, as if someone was reliving the night of the murders over and over. One of the most terrifying encounters happened in 2014, when a paranormal investigator staying overnight stabbed himself in the chest inside the house. He survived, but claimed that in the moments before the attack, he felt an overwhelming presence, something that wasn't his own thoughts urging him to do it. Was the house haunted by the spirits of the victims, or did something far more sinister dwell inside, feeding off the fear and tragedy left behind? To this day, no one knows who committed the murders. The case remains unsolved, and the house, trapped in its violent past, continues to whisper its secrets to those who dare to listen. It was supposed to be just another dormitory, a place where students laughed, studied, and lived out the best years of their youth. But for those who stepped inside room 428 at Wilson Hall in Ohio University, laughter quickly turned to fear. This wasn't just another room, it was something else, a doorway to something unnatural. Ohio University has long been considered one of the most haunted colleges in America, but the story of room 428 stands out among all others. Legend has it that in the late 1970s, a student who lived in the room became obsessed with the occult. She spent weeks drawing symbols on the walls, reading books about ancient rituals, and warning her friends that something was speaking to her. One night, she was found dead inside the room, having died under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was suicide. Others claim she was found lying in the center of a ritualistic circle, her face frozen in terror. What she had been trying to summon, if anything, was never determined. After her death, something changed in room 428. Students who stayed there began reporting objects moving on their own, their books being thrown across the room, and the feeling of being watched at all hours of the night. The most terrifying encounter involved the appearance of a shadowy figure, one that wasn't human. Multiple students reported waking up in the middle of the night to see a dark figure standing at the foot of their bed, staring at them. Some described it as a tall, hooded figure, while others said it had hollow, glowing eyes. Those who tried to leave found themselves paralyzed, unable to move until the figure disappeared. The university eventually sealed the room off permanently, claiming it was for maintenance reasons. But those who know the stories believe it was because no one could live there without experiencing something terrifying. Did the students' rituals open a doorway to something beyond human understanding? Or was there already something inside room 428 waiting for someone to notice? To this day, no one is allowed to stay in that room. But some say if you walk by it late at night, you can still hear faint whispers coming from the other side.